Ms. Weisenthal, are you ready? Thank you. Good morning. We're now on the record. It's 11 a.m. on Thursday, April 24th, 2025. This is the pre-hearing conference and proceeding number 25A-0062E, the application of Black Hills Colorado Electric for approval of its 2025 to 2029 distribution system plan. I'm Eric Blank, the hearing commissioner for this proceeding. This pre-hearing conference was scheduled in decision number R25-0258-I, which also requested the filing of supplemental direct testimony. On April 21st, 2025, Black Hills filed a proposed procedural schedule and discovery procedures agreed to by the parties. I see no issue with the schedule and discovery procedures, so unless something comes up today, it'd be my plan to issue a written decision adopting that schedule as proposed. In its April 21st filing, Black Hills also stated that it has certain questions today regarding the ordered supplemental direct testimony that it'd like to discuss. So I suspect we'll do that today. But if we could start with parties' appearances, that'd be great. Mr. Sopkin.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Greg Sopkin, representing Black Hills Colorado Electric. With me today on the call is Michael Harrington, in case any technical questions come up.
Thank you. Welcome, staff.
Good morning, Chair. Assistant Attorney General Ross Smith on behalf of staff this morning. I am joined by my co-counsel, Katie McLaughlin and Aileen Chong.
Welcome. Thank you. And UCA.
Good morning, Kate Crampton, appearing on behalf of UCA. Not joined by anyone today, so I'm here to answer any questions on behalf of UCA.
Flying solo. Commission counsel.
I'm Assistant Attorney General Wendy Rosati, and I'm representing the Commission.
Thanks all. So we've asked the company to provide through supplemental direct a 20-year residential and total rate analysis through 2045 with some specific assumptions and elements. We've also asked the company staff and UCA to help identify a total Colorado electric capital spending level that would keep residential rates and total rates growing no faster than inflation. So some of this is in this case as a supplemental direct, and some of it was in the commission order in the Black Hills rate case. So with that, maybe I'll turn it over to you, Mr. Sopkin, and take us wherever you'd like to go.
Sure. Thank you. So looking at the interim decision R25-0258 with regard to the 20-year residential and total rate analysis through 2045 with certain assumptions and elements, we just have a few questions, clarifications, and proposals related to that. So let me just take them seriatim. The first one is the gross capital spending projections should be based on the total capital spending projected by the corporate parent in the latest investor presentation with the 2024 through 2028 growth rates assumed to persist through 2045. A couple things about that. Number one, we have more recent data with regard to that. Instead of 2024 to 2028, last investor presentation has 2025 through 2029. So we assume that's okay to use the latest information with regard to that.
Please.
Okay.
Thank you.
And then with regard to the to this analysis, we have a question that's related to our clean energy plan. And so we're sort of assuming that should not be included because the recovery for the CEP falls outside of a rate case. It's through the CPR and the ECA, and it's not really part of our normal growth. And just one side issue there is looking at the Commission's rate case order, the original rate case order, in that paragraph 333. So I'm just looking here at decision number C25-0183, That indicates the company and staff to present a long-term residential rate forecast. And it talks about the DSP filing, so that's what we're doing here, and the Rule 3206 filing, and that's transmission. And so we thought this is related to distribution and transmission, and that the CEP spending is somewhat lumpy, not necessarily representative of normal growth, and we're not sure exactly how that whole thing's going to come out at this point in terms of all the resources. So we're looking for clarification on whether the clean energy plan should be included. We kind of thought it shouldn't be, but we'd like to hear from you.
So first, thanks for asking. Greatly appreciate that. And I guess my request would be to include it. Just list. The goal is to just see where we're headed on long-term rates, and I think it should be it should be comprehensive. Let's just get everything in there that we're gonna want to collectively see customers pay. Because just having spent like 4 or 5 days in your service territory in the rate case, it seems like customers aren't distinguishing between transmission, distribution, and clean energy. Yeah, it's just where are we headed on rates, and let's just make our capital investment decisions in that context, because that's the trade-off. So that's my thinking, and if we could just get everything in the forecast, that would be appreciated. And maybe we'll grow at inflation, maybe we'll grow faster than inflation, but at least have an analytical basis that's comprehensive. And for me, I totally get the chaos that's going on in the clean energy markets. But let's do our best, though. So if you'd be willing, I'd request we do it comprehensively. And that's what I was trying to get at in the order on revenue requirement. By saying in the supplemental direct order, could we do revenue requirement, not base rates or, base rates plus? So does that make sense, Mr. Sopkin?
Yeah. So this is for the CEO budget only versus the total Black Hills Corporation budget.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
And in terms of the clean energy plan, I'm assuming the assumption should be what was last approved, the last decision, and the assumption that the 3 resources will go forward as I guess projected by the company.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. Second question, and this is part 2 of the assumptions that are listed in that interim order. And it's the allocation of Colorado Electric subsidiary of the total corporate investment should be based on the assumption that the current proportionate share of electric rate base to the corporate total, as shown in the latest investor presentation, is maintained over the forecast horizon. Okay, so in presenting that to my people, what they say is that current proportionate share can be skewed based on what's going on with the other subsidiaries. Just one example there, our Wyoming subsidiary has a transmission line being built right now. And we think the better analysis would be the specific budget that has been set for Black Hills Colorado Electric for 2025 through 2029. Again, that latest information.
Okay.
And so it is a budget that has been set for BHCOE, and we can project forward based on that. So that's what we'd like to clarify.
All right. That sounds reasonable to me.
Okay. Then the third one states the long-term customer class allocation should include the average and excess for coincident P, A&E 4CP, cost allocation approach that was just approved by the commission in the rate case. So the issue there, as I understand it, is the A&E 4CP is only used for generation, not distribution and transmission. And so what we were going to suggest is to use the existing spread from the rate case and the phase 2 portion of the rate case the existing spread between the rate classes and apply a weighted average class allocator going forward based on that, as opposed to using the A&E 4CP method.
All right, can we just, I thought that's what we did in the rate case, but we have multiple rate cases, so I maybe, I'd certainly defer to you, but how about if we just say in the order, whatever we decided in the phase 2 rate case component, we just project through the entire forecast horizon. Would that work?
Yeah, just the spread between the rate classes that was decided in that case, we could project that going forward. And that's better because the A&P 4 and CP is just one of many different methodologies that were used as far as phase 2. Okay. And then the last one, number 4, is the peak demand and energy sales forecast. First year starting points and growth rates should reflect the actual historic growth rates from 2017 through 2023. What we would like to propose here is to use our peak demand and energy sales forecast from the Clean Energy Plan case. And we did provide that in the rate case through Hearing Exhibit 115, Attachment SKJ-12, and assume that going forward. That's our study on that. That's our projection on that. It is the most accurate. It's complete. The only difference really with what the order says is it says reflect the actual historic growth rates from 2017 through 2023. That study goes out to 2022. But we don't think that lopping off that last year would make much of a difference. So we would like to use the already completed study as opposed to doing a whole new study on that.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
Okay. I think that's it. I do understand that with regard to the request in the order for the company trial staff and other interveners, which would be UCA, to identify a total Colorado Electric capital spending level to keep rates growing no faster than inflation is not part of the supplemental testimony. At least that was my read of the order. And just looking at the order, it says further explanation, any request for filings will be provided through future decision. So that's.
Would you be adverse to opining on that as part of the supplemental direct?
We could try to do that, and I could to maybe jump the gun a little here. We're not sure exactly how to do this because of our duty as a electric utility to provide safe and adequate, reliable service, all of that. So we're not exactly sure if this is something where you're asking for testimony on the subject to indicate what our position is, or if you're asking for some sort of agreement to be reached on that and to include that in testimony.
I'm just asking what you'd have to put into the rate forecast model to get to that rate forecast. I mean, I can play around with an Excel spreadsheet, but I think it would be better if you guys did. So it's not like forcing an agreement. It's not asking you to agree to not live up to your obligation to serve. It's just a mechanical question about what would you have to put in the model to keep rates growing. And I mean, that's what I'd like to see to know, help us understand the trade-off between capital spending and affordability. So it's just a mechanical issue. It's not trying to.
You're looking for the math.
Yeah, I'm looking for the math.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I think I get it. I think that's it for us. I don't know if any other party has any.
Yeah, I did before we break off, and before, I mean, I would view my conversation with Mr. Sopkin as tentative until we hear from the other parties about the resolution of those issues and whether UCA or staff has a different view or would recommend that we go in a different direction. So I'll start with you, Mr. Smith, and then go to you, Ms. Crampton.
I would say that I don't think that staff has a different view in the direction that we should go. I think that what the supplemental that you've laid out and then the discussion that you've just had with Mr. Sopkin, I think sort of lays out clearly what's expected of staff in terms of what needs to be developed through testimony. Obviously, without being able to confer with the client here, I don't want to commit them, but at the same time, I think what you've said makes sense to me.
Okay, Ms. Crampton.
Yeah, I tend to agree. Mr. Sopkin did send us kind of highlighting these issues ahead of time. So I have had a brief chance to discuss internally. I don't think we have any issues with the discussion that's occurred here and Black Hill's position with respect to these supplemental direct requests.
Okay. Ms. Rosati, Ms. Davis, Mr. Davis, am I on okay footing? Ms. Rosati?
I don't see any issues with the conversation that you have had, in terms of any other things you might want to be thinking about. So it sounds fine to me.
And as this is one of my first hearing commissioner cases, are you drafting the order or am I drafting the order?
I will draft the order, but we can handle that internally, I think.
Thank you. I think that's all I had. Do you guys have anything else? And I appreciate the dialogue. I think in the right case, it got messy and the dialogue is helpful and maybe the order was overly precise or so appreciate you doing this, Mr. Sopkin.
No problem at all. And that's all we have for Black Hills.
All right, Ms. Crampton, Mr. Smith.
Nothing for UCA.
Nothing from staff.
All right, I think with that, we're adjourned. Thanks all.
Thank you.
Thank you.